What celebrity death seems a bit too suspicious? Not necessarily a celebrity but someone of some importance in the media, especially sports media. Earlier this year, Andrei Mishkov, father of highly anticipated NHL prospect Matvei Mishkov, was found dead. The official cause of death was not released. The Mishkovs lived in Russia, and many people suspect that the Russian government may have had something to do in Andrei's death. Y'all should look it up. Bob Saget. He fell and died from the fall. They said his skull was crushed so much it was the equivalent of being in a 35 miles per hour car crash. Ain't no way he fell so hard that he shattered his entire skull and was like, "Hey, I'm fine," and got back into bed and went to sleep. And they said he has no drugs in his system, I believe, but memory may be wrong with that. Jill Dando. She was a British TV presenter, newsreader and journalist. She was shot on her front doorstep and it's never been solved. Also Dr. David Kelly, not exactly a celebrity, but he was a known public figure. He was a weapons expert that supposedly killed himself shortly after saying that the report on Iraq's nuclear weapons had been fudged. George Reeves, the guy who played Superman in the 50s. There were a bunch of people in his house the night he died, and a lot of conflicting stories. Also he was having an affair with a studio exec who was in attendance with his husband that night. Also forensics disagree with the testimony of the witnesses. It's all a clusterfuck. Elliott Smith. Arguing with his girlfriend, and then when she goes to take a shower in the middle of their argument, he suddenly decides to stab himself twice in the chest with no hesitation wounds. And of course she pulled the knife out before calling 911. And I think I've read she has exhibited so weird behavior before and since. Heng Angor. Oscar and Golden Globe winner for The Killing Fields. Cambodian and former prisoner of the Khmer Rouge. Tortured and imprisoned in Cambodia. Murdered outside his home in Los Angeles. His family thinks it was revenge from Cambodia for his outspoken support for human rights and bringing people to justice in Cambodia. Can't believe no one said it already, but Stanley Kubrick. He made a movie basically about the Illuminati and then he dies of a heart attack 6 days after screening it. He was 70, not like he was that old. Seems suspicious to me. Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones died under suspicious circumstances while swimming. The person he was swimming with, a contractor working on his house who Jones had accused of stealing from them, supposedly confessed on his deathbed to killing Jones. As soon as Michael Jackson died, Sony inherited his music royalty catalog, which includes the entire Beatles catalog, which they re-released almost immediately after he died, and then they put out a Guitar Hero Beatles edition. Felt very suspicious. Dorothy Kilgallen. She was an investigative journalist and game show panelist on What's My Line? She was digging into JFK when she died of an overdose. Her manuscript on JFK was taken by the government and will never see the light of day. Coleman Francis, the director of Red Zone Cuba and The Beast of Yucca Flats, was allegedly found dead in the backseat of a car with a plastic bag around his head and a tube going into his throat. Sounds like he was whacked. Whether he was a celebrity or not is debatable, but I haven't seen anyone mention JFK. No way it went down as stated in the Warren Commission. And this is coming from a forensic scientist. Not suspicious in how he died. But I believe Suge had Pac killed in order to keep him from moving over to No Limit Records and to boost sales of what he had control of at the same time. Whitney Houston and her daughter. Whitney's autopsy shows that she had defensive wounds. Maybe it wouldn't be as suspicious if your daughter was also found unresponsive in a bathtub. Dorothy Kilgallen's death has got to be one of the most suspicious. There are many who feel she was about to break the real story behind JFK's death, but then suddenly she was dead. Ken Lay, former Enron CEO, was declared deceased in Aspen with his family right before he was going to serve his sentence. Cremated and buried at an undisclosed location. Andy Warhol's death was an incredible case of medical malpractice, and there's some evidence that the nurses who overloaded him with 4 fluids did it on purpose. I remember hearing about Michael Jackson saying people were following him not long before he died, but that could be due to mental health problems, drug use. David Carradine, I saw a tabloid photo of the scene and he was found in a closet with his hands tied to the "can't do that on your own." Not really caught up on it, but I remember seeing a few videos online a while back about how Brittany Murphy's death was supposedly suspicious. Kim Porter to these BM. I know it happens, but it's just crazy for a 45 years old otherwise healthy person dies randomly from pneumonia. Jean Spengler. She is assumed to be dead but has never been found. It was suspected that Kirk Douglas was involved in her disappearance. Mr. J.H. Christ. Dies, then comes back, then goes down to the gas station for some milk and never comes back. Sounds like a con. Maybe it's been said before, but definitely Kurt Cobain. Using a gun to pull a trigger with that much aim? I just don't believe it. Dorothy Kilgallen, reporter and TV personality, died under mysterious circumstances while investigating Kennedy's assassination. Jeffrey Epstein was a sociopath. There is no way someone as narcissistic and selfish as him would have committed suicide. Y'all, it would be nice if you include your reasons and not just post a name like we're supposed to know all about it. I'm not British, but my girlfriend is, so you know I gotta say it. Princess Diana. Defo was a tad bit sus, wasn't it? Every untimely death can be made suspicious if one just conspiracy theories hard enough. Hard eye roll. Did John McAfee get whack tattooed on himself or some shit just before he died? I may be wrong. I would be very happy to find out Robin Williams is really playing Ms. Doubtfire permanently. Epstein. Yeah, I said it. He had so many celebrity buddies that he was a damn celebrity. Nicole Brown Simpson. From what I hear, her ex is still trying to find the real killer. Jeffrey Epstein. How Gillen hasn't followed that path yet is a shock to me, honestly. Whitney Houston. She hated baths. Even when she was on crack, she never sat in the tub. They didn't publicize the cause of Sinead's death, but I'm 95% certain it was suicide. Brandon Lee. So many weird little things surrounding the way in which he was killed. Trevor Moore. Posted wild stuff his entire life and ended up falling off his balcony. Bob Saget. How did he end up with that kind of head trauma and not even know it? Elliott Smith. Suicide by stabbing himself twice in the heart. Kinda fishy. Brittany Murphy, hands down. To this day I still believe she was murdered. I firmly believe Martin Luther King was not killed by James Earl Ray. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that O.J. Simpson killed his wife, Aunt Aish. The way she popped up on the gurney is kinda sus. Gary Coleman. Did his ex-wife push him down the stairs? Not a celebrity but a notable person. Lee Harvey Oswald.